and then we'll be ready to go. It is fun.
Okay. We've got 13, including us, so far. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you want to wait another minute, or you want to proceed?
It's your choice. It's your choice, guys.
Let's wait another minute.
5 minutes past, Mike.
Well, I'm going to wait a minute just because it's Friday, and
Yeah.
East Coast is still finishing their lunch.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I see that, Yvonne. It's probably healthier than what I ate.
It was not healthy at all.
Well, try a Big Mac for size.
It was along those lines.
I don't think I've eaten
Yeah,
one so
I think,
fast.
yeah, if it's healthy, it doesn't generate a kind of a happy laugh like Yvonne just said.
Yeah, I want what she's having, because my okay.
All right. So
Well, I can go ahead. For everybody on the call, we met yesterday, Cello and Scott, Yvonne, and I, and Ting couldn't make it, but Ting's been fully briefed as much as we could in a short period of time. And so this is going to have a bit of a raw feel, just kind of setting some expectations here in the interest of transparency. And so we are the fearsome threesome, Yvonne, Ting, and myself. We're going to be assisted, of course, by Scott and by Cello, and it'll keep us straight. And there's a lot of context here. We went through, believe it or not, 90 some odd slides yesterday, and we knew that we're not going to do that today. So rest assured, there's a lot of content underneath what we're going to be talking about today. So a lot of work has been done as a result of UAIM, and just especially this past year. So you'll see evidence of that. And we could take a deep dive, but that's not what we're interested in doing today. What we're interested in is learning about you all, as the folks that could make this call. The members of this team have a lot of interest in the technology portion of the people, process, and technology model. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. And I think that's the agenda. Yeah, we haven't worked through these minute numbers. We don't profess to hold to them. What we do want to do is the things that are on this agenda, though. And first and foremost is to introduce ourselves. And what I would like for everybody to do, including our co-leads, and I'll go first, is not only state your name and your rank and your serial number, but who you're with and what brought you to this point in time in the context of this track of technology and data analytics and metrics and things like that. And what we're wanting to do is kind of gauge, maybe as we go through this, when we get to the latter portion of our meeting, which is the what's that called, Cello? The Menti.com. Everybody probably on this call has seen it before, where Cello's got some questions, some free-form stuff, very, very, very brief, and just to get a temperature there too. We want to get to know you. And we want also kind of do homage to where we've come from. So I'm Mike Sweeney. I'm with the Toho Water Authority. And where's that? Well, it's in Central Florida. It's in Kissimmee, Florida, which is just outside of somewhere between Disney and Orlando, if you're familiar with the area. My title is Director of Innovation and Strategic Advancement. And what that all means is I got to be on this project. WISE is part of one of the pillars that I'm trying to follow for the sake of Toho, in that this represents to me a really opportune point in time to embrace innovation for the utility. So I'm a co-lead, and Yvonne, you want to go next? I think, yeah, there you go.
Hi, everyone. I'm Yvonne Carney. I'm with WSSC Water in Maryland, right outside Washington, D.C. I'm excited to be a part of this track and program. I'm Director of Strategic Performance, and so what that means is that I help to facilitate development and execution of our strategic plan And as part of that, to encourage the use of data and risk-informed decisions to achieve that plan. And WSSC has been involved in UAIM and now WISE in a couple different ways, and business process modeling, and then most recently with enterprise risk. And so I'm excited to be involved to as we're embarking on the development of a digital strategy. And so given all the good work that has happened here, I'm excited to be able to build on the work of UAM and have that inform the work that we do in technology and data.
Fantastic. Ting?
Well, thank you, Mike. That's hard to follow. So my name is Ting Lu. I'm the business practice leader for digital solutions at Clean Water Services. Clean Water Services is on the West Coast. It's right outside of the city of Portland. So we serve the Washington County in Oregon here. So Clean Water Services has been with the UAIM for a couple of years too. Where my interest is, I'm leading the digital solutions, which is formerly the IT group. As you can tell, that's a heavy focus on technology, but we are bringing data analytics and some additional new capabilities to the district. And one of the things I realize is that technology is only part of the solution. In order to move forward with a lot of initiatives, and people and the process needs to be there. So we have quite some initiatives I think will fit well with working with everyone to be on the team to bring the people and the process and data analytics together.
Excellent. That's a hard act to follow too. Well done. Cello or Scott, can you maybe cue us up and go down the list?
Yeah,
So,
sure.
Yeah.
This was the fearless trio, and now Scott and I are the fearful duo. So,
yeah, we do fear you, by the way, the three of us. But go ahead.
so I'll we're here to help and assist with the program. So I'll be reading the names of the folks who are online in the way they appear on my screen. So it's so Jenny, would you mind introducing yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Jenny Chaddick, and I'm a process analyst in our planning and engineering group in the asset planning group here at Tacoma Water, which is located about an hour south of Seattle, Washington. And so in my role, I'm one of the few non-engineers in the engineering section. And as an analyst, I get to work with a lot of different technologies around either continuous improvement or data visualization. And so this is right in my wheelhouse, and I'm kind of the liaison between our engineering section and the other departments like IT or analytics and implementation sections at Tacoma Water. So I'm very interested in the small technologies, whether that's Mentipols to Tableau visualizations of how we can enable better decision-making through data and user-friendly formats. So I'm very interested in this group.
Thank you, Jenny. Eric Griffin.
Good afternoon. I'm Eric Griffin. I'm the Energy Program Manager for the Great Lakes Water Authority in Detroit. I spent a lot of time in our system metering group prior to the energy role. So in that group, we were doing a lot of analytics around our customers and our water usage. And then now in the energy side of things, that's very data driven as well, to understand your energy usage and energy demands. All is driven by data. So I'm looking forward to learning something about what's going on around the country with different utilities and their analytics. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Brittany.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brittany Lovelace with Loudon Water here in Ashburn, Virginia. I'm an asset management engineer in charge of our vertical assets. So I oversee and develop predictive and preventive maintenance programs for all of our vertical assets here. Currently working right now to develop ways to better track our data and visualize it in terms of sharing it with the rest of the organization to kind of expand our asset management presence within the organization, and just really looking forward to seeing how there's other technology and capabilities of doing that for Loudon Water.
Thank you very much. Scott Parker.
Hello, everyone. My name is Scott Parker. I'm the asset manager here at KC Water, Kansas City, Missouri. I am actually on this call. I'm going to introduce someone in our group to this group. His name's Brian Stapleton, but he's very specific to this group. But in our asset management program, we essentially have 4 pillars that we've developed to basically do that allows for the implementation of our program. And the newest of those is our business intelligence and data analytics group that Brian leads. So, it's very, very, very critical that we gather all of the information that we have and then represent it out to our organization in a way that decisions can be made. And one of the big things I think that we've been trying to do, and we've really kind of started to accomplish over the last couple of years, is we're really utilizing this data and this information for true operational decision support. And that shift in mindset obviously makes it very critical that we have the best tools at our disposal to represent information to our customers, who happen to be mostly internal, who are making these decisions. So very interested in what this group is going to be doing, and look forward to hearing back from Brian as it relates to where this is going. So Cello and Scott, you won't have to deal with me on this call. Other calls, yes, but I'm hopeful that I can turn this over to him, and he'll be a much friendlier KC Water face that you get to deal with. So how about that? So anyway, nice to see everyone. Thanks.
Friendlier than you. I don't know. That'll be a high bar. Brian Stapleton.
Hi, I'm Brian Stapleton. As Scott mentioned, I work for KC Water in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm the business or the data analytics and business intelligence manager for KC Water. My background, I've had over the years, I've been involved through the technology of collecting data and managing data through the data management piece, and then also I'm a trained scientist, so I've been on the other end of it, where that data that's collected and hopefully of high quality is used to then make more scientific and data-driven decisions and answering some questions in regards to it. So I look forward to working with each one of you in regards to moving the bar forward and what we can accomplish through the use of good, high-quality data.
Thank you very much. Pat Boyle.
Hi, my name is Pat Boyle. I'm with Baltimore City Department of Public Works. My title is Pollution Control Program Administrator. I'm here because if you're in Maryland, you have to keep up with WSSC because they set the gold standard. And I'm here because the data is the driver for the dollars, and we're also getting ready to set up dashboards for compliance information for our wastewater treatment plant. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you. Dr. Michael Barnett.
Yeah, thanks, Cello. Yes, I'm Mike Barnett. Good to meet everybody. And I'm a support person for this effort. I'm providing support for the business process model and notation, the business process modeling work that anyone of you decides to do, and also decision management. So let me know if you're seeing questions pop up in those areas as you go through your digital transformations and analytics. I'm happy to help out. Thanks.
Thanks. So back to you, Mike and Ting and Yvonne.
Okay. Well, we've not worked out our handoffs between us three. So if, with the permission of our ladies, I'll kind of keep going here to keep us on track. And I got a thumbs up from one. Ting is thinking about it, but that's okay. We'll go ahead to oh, good. We'll go to the next slide and wait for that. Okay, so the next couple of slides are going to very briefly really top our overarching detail here, go through the people, processes, and the technology in the form of intelligent water systems. So we'll start with the people. If you're, and bearing in mind, these three dimensions are the backbone of what we've been doing now for what, 4 or 5 years. And we're following that. I love consistency. and it's a really good foundation to be on. And knowing that they're all interactive with one another, as you all know. So a lot of work has been going on in the assessment area. The assessment tools that have come out of it are measuring system maturity, as you can see in the slide there, the focusing and pointed at the as-is system state and understanding it and its foibles and its strengths and so forth, I think are just truly foundational, as with the rest of what we'll talk about. And to understand it in a quantitative way, as well as keeping the qualitative aspects of it, is what our assessment tools are all about. Cello was on an earlier call with us today, and there was a statistic that I got to share with the group. There are 5,000 files that we've accumulated with the UAIM project, and now WISE has inherited it, and it's amazing. So it's almost overwhelming, but it's very rich to mine this information and come up with an assessment tool. And there's a lot more to it than that I can't give it full justice today. So next is processes, and processes in the middle of this. This is how people do things, obviously. And so, Cello, if you could go ahead and advance one. Okay, and I know I can't do this completely the justice that Cello has done it so well, but basically kind of thinking about at the top of the slide there is the business, and the leadership kind of defines what the mission and goal should be for the organization. That's a universal fact, that the organization that you're in was created for a reason, and to fulfill a mission and do it consistently and look for better ways to do it, continuous improvement being part of the mantra, but also set goals for itself. And in order to do that, there is change management. It's something that is a process unto itself. It's a way of making sure that the people and processes are aligned to that mission. There's tools associated with even assessing change management itself. I could say, for instance, with Toho, we haven't spent enough time on this, and I don't know if you guys would agree in your own utilities, is that once we get a budget and we pretty much agree that we need to do something, either replace something or add to our repertoire of technology, this can be overlooked or shortchanged, and we are not professing that is a best practice here. In fact, WISE will be spending time to continue refining what will be an informative methodology to make sure that utilities, when they engage in any kind of continuous improvement effort, weaves in change management and those precepts, principles, and practices themselves. Next slide. And so that basically, the improvement methodology here is very similar to what you saw in the people related slide, is that we want to assess system maturity, the as-is state, but we're now more pointed toward the to-be system state. We've added that box, you can see that's in a different lighter orange color there. And this is what the processes are all about. In improving it is to design a to-be state and to pilot it, if that's the way you're going to go, and scale it up, and everything that goes along with it. The groans and strains of asset management come to mind here too, because we can't assume everybody understands what it is that they need to do, and the changes that need to be made in people's roles are very important. How they would use technology, whether it applies or not, how it applies, are all part of this improvement methodology. It is not something that can be overlooked. Next slide. And last but not least, for at least today, is the the technology component here, and it kind of follows this same suit here, is again, a system maturity assessment is in play here, as well as focusing on the as-is system state in terms of what tools do you have, what gaps exist as a result of the tools themselves or how they're applied. All that comes into play here and has a relationship with the people and the processes. That just goes without saying here. The rest of the way here with designing a 2B system state and all that is paramount. Talking with our team yesterday briefly, we recognize that IT projects in general, and I don't want to limit it to just information technology when I say this, can pose a really high risk for an enterprise, especially an enterprise level solution, if you don't go with the slow is fast mantra, if you will, that you got to spend time and not only define your functional requirements and all that goes into any kind of project, but also make sure your people and your processes are being considered here. What is it you're going to change? What effect collaterally or directly is going to have on the organization, your customers, et cetera. All that is part of this assessment, and focusing on your as-is state and having a profound knowledge of how you're doing things today will be the basis of how you want to do things tomorrow. Next slide. Cello, I've been thinking about this slide. There's a lot on this. If you wouldn't mind taking this one and maybe the next one after it.
Okay. Well, on the left side, you can see which is the business, what we're trying to accomplish, and then the expression of what the business needs are for that, the intelligent water, the technology, what technology needs to do for us. So this is sort of the cycle of when we analyze the as-is situation. What are we trying to accomplish? What are the business needs? And then focus on this and say, are we collecting the data that we need? Are we managing it properly so we can find what we are looking for and access it? Do we have analytics in place to provide us with insight? And are we providing information that's required for to support the decision-making process? So this is sort of the assessment of as-is situation and the cycle that we would go through. So this on the left side is sort of the process side of it, and this is the business needs and enhanced capabilities are the interface between the processes and the technology. So you can see that these steps 1 and 2 are on the process.
And if I could add that the enhanced capabilities is the outcome that we're after, obviously.
Yes, yes. So any change requires management, and it is especially important, the change management for these planning and implementing improvements, because it impacts the people and the processes and the technology. Should I keep going, or you want me to go back?
No,
to you?
I can take it from the next one. Go, keep going. I'm going to need you, I'm sure, later.
Okay. So that was, also part of WISE, and we'll have to kind of keep in mind that it's really, we have to have a holistic view. So let me just click the next one. So there's back to you, Mike.
Well, and just this one's, kind of a simple sort of a summary of how this all sort of fits together a bit pictorially, is they all have a relationship to one another. You can't take one out and, or just diminish it without having an effect on the other. And it's just a reminder that this bond exists, and these interactions, and what we do as a team is going to be very much part of this, as well as the things that we're after holistically in WISE itself. So let me pause there. Is there any comments or questions? I'm not monitoring the chat room. I'm just kind of flying here, but just if we're okay, we'll go ahead and continue. And
I don't see any notes in the chat line.
Okay. So this is also a slide. Takes us back to change management more specifically and its importance. And it relates to the previous slide in that you can see the workforce, process, organization, and technology are all integral with change management and its precepts. And if you put emphasis on one and lack emphasis on the other, it's going to have an effect on the whole. And while you see those concentric circles, the outside being change management, the monitoring of what's going on in terms of any continuous improvement project effort is paramount, so that we know that we're in sync and we have the resources necessary to handle everything from, it could be conflict from the standpoint of a questioning of the course that we're on or methodology of how to implement, to even more minute details that can become large details, are caught early and can be addressed and adjusted. And this becomes a very kind of an organic type of process that has a lot of interrelationships with one another. Next slide. So here's kind of what we're thinking in very broad terms in terms of our scope and looking out for the next 12 months. So what we think is the first part of it's going to be, it needs to be, is finalize this assessment methodology. Obviously, I've been putting a lot of emphasis on it in our presentation so far. It provides us what we need to know and what it is, the folks that will be using the tools after us as WISE continues to grow and produces these type of resources. It's paramount that we, finalize. It's very far along at this point. In fact, we were playing around with it yesterday. I was purposely kind of probing it. Remember, there was a lot of slides that we saw. And I said, Cello, did you include this? And he said, yep, we included over here. And I thought, okay, I got to stump him. I got to think of another one. Okay, Cello, did you include that? Yeah, I got it. It's over here. It's on slide 47. It's like, okay, I give up. So it is very thorough. It's a lot of depth with the assessment methodology. Trust me on that. So we'll be finalizing that and beginning to identify the modeling and analytical tools. When we went through the introductions today, there's people that are already using tools. We're very interested in knowing what tools you are using and maybe a bit about what you think of it so far in your journey. And I think it would be a valuable experience to know for folks that are thinking about their next steps and knowing that somebody in our team is already using Tableau or whatever it might be, and maybe using it in a novel way. Any type of tool, I think, would be very important as we go. The next 3 months, approximately, we'd be looking at selecting a sub process and analyzing within our utilities, analyzing those technical aspects of that selected one, and begin to think of, if you haven't already, and you may have already done this for a sub process, is defining metrics and success targets and things like that. If you're far enough along, for instance, or if you want to venture out into a brand new area that you've been thinking about doing. And then the last half of the year is that to be state. This is where it really gets fun, gets interesting, it gets creative, is to start thinking about how can we improve this consequential process, and preparing that plan, but also preparing and updating guidelines. And that's where WISE will come in with these tools, most certainly, to make that possible. So that's what we're envisioning for the second half of this next 12 months or so. Next slide. So we're forming. How's that go? Forming, storming, norming, and performing. So we're kind of forming. We hopefully avoid the storms, as that saying goes. So there's going to be plenty of opportunity, including these type of team calls, is to go through some fairly regularly bi-weekly status updates. We're planning remote workshops, and they'll include all the participants, those that can't make it today and those who have made it, of course. We got WEF right around the corner. Just a shameless plug. There is a workshop on Sunday at WEF Tech, Sunday the 17th. I think that's right. And it's workshop W14, and it's from 8:30 to 5. It's going to cover everything WISE that we'll be covering in a bit more detail than we can possibly do today. But not only that, the Utility Management Conference, and even make it more of a shameless plug, is in Orlando in February of 2022. So what a great time to be in Central Florida. And we'll be part of that conference as the UAIM project has also made a practice of doing. So Utility Management Conference itself is an awesome conference. WEFTEC is great. It is huge. But Utility Management Conference, you've never gone, and if you can make it, hopefully you can, and make this part of your objective at that conference is to be at a WISE workshop to be planned. And then the summer 2022 in a location to be determined will be a summer workshop. So we keep up that momentum that we are starting today through WEFTEC, through the UMC conference, and they'll have a lot of things going on this coming summer because from the schedule previously, there'll be a lot to talk about it, and even planning the next steps for the following year will be, I'm most certain, be part of that as well. So the core team, that's the Fearsome Threesome and the Fearsome, Fearsome Threesome and the, what was the other one, Cello? The something, the twins. Basically, the core team, and any help we can get from you all is fine too, we'll be working on deliverables. We'll be planning these meetings. There's also, for all of us to start thinking about piloting an implementation in our utilities. Case history is a really important deliverable in the WISE efforts. People, including myself, live by those. We want to know in detail what happened and what's the lessons learned from the things that folks are doing out in their various utilities. Knowing some utilities are further along than others, some are bigger and have different objectives maybe, or more comprehensive ones than others, but there's still something to learn from each of these case histories that we will preserve and share. And then, of course, there's opportunity outside of workshops that we mentioned at these conferences, for instance, is to present in a technical session a particular area. So that's always there, and paying attention to abstract due dates and call for papers and things like that should be part of what we do as well. So there you go. Next slide. Okay, I'm going to take this back to Cello. Cello has the grocery store QR code there. You can either use that with your cell phone, or you can type in menti.com and enter that code there. And what we're looking for is some input. And this is very brief, but we really want you to think about some questions that we have here and just give us your opinion, give us your thoughts in this early stage of kicking this track off. And so we'll wait just a second and make sure Cello is going to take this from here and put it on the screen, I think.
Yes, I'm just moving windows around. So these are the questions. If you go to Mentimeter, these are the questions that you will see, and you can, just to get a sense, what kind of challenges did you experience in the past when you were applying technology to improve performance, just to get a sense where the challenges are and which ones are coming, and it goes from it's never an issue to it's always an issue. We always kind of start by looking at what challenges. Oh, very interesting, very interesting. So you'll see in a live, you'll see live as people answer these questions, how the feedback changes. And after the call, we will, and I very much encourage everybody to go there and click away, because we'll post these results to our part of our meeting notes. So we have a few more folks who can sign in. We'll wait for them. Yeah, they're signing in.
It's still settling in. This is really interesting.
Yeah.
So no cheating. Don't try to move one because of groupthink.
It's interesting when they change and they're gonna bounce around. They really act like balls, you know. my little
Just,
dots.
quick comment about collaboration between business units, which is the lead right now, and there's some right behind it. No surprise, really. In fact, when we did our strategic plan, Yvonne might be interested in this at Toho, we recognized that and try to set a goal that we would take a look at a minimum of 3 consequential business processes that at least that had high consequences on customers favorably, but also involved multiple business units. We knew that'd be the most difficult, and it's proving to be correct. And our list is long. It's more of a now prioritizing what it is that we think we can do and get to more quickly than others. So looks like that's still in the lead, but very
Mike,
good.
Mike, did you want to punch in something, your own input before I move this? Because I don't know if you had a chance to.
I have not had a chance, but I don't think I'll move it very much.
Okay.
So.
Okay. So I'll freeze it then. Hang on. And go to the next question. And that is, how would you rate the importance of the following capabilities in your organization?
Hey, Cello, just for my clarification, are we rating the importance of the capabilities we have or that we need to implement a technology solution?
That's a good question, and I should have made it more clear. How would you feel that these capabilities impact the success or failure? So, for example, how important they are. So if documenting and analyzing is important, you feel is important in your own opinion, then you would give it a high score. So not necessarily what the organization thinks, but what you feel is more or less important.
Yeah, I think Cello might have been part of the question. I may be reading it wrong too. It's an excellent question, is whether you have it in hand or is something you're desiring to do more of. It is right.
Yeah, I should have been more careful phrasing this question. Scott has a good point, but if we can agree to say, okay, these are the things that we think are important to do to be successful, then we can kind of
fair enough.
Yeah.
So it's more aspirational, like what you would want.
Yeah.
Not necessarily where things are today. Okay.
Yeah. It's very interesting, and I may have a typo here. I see in the question, instead of systems, I have a comma instead of M. So very interesting.
So some feedback on this one, I think, and I just can use our own experience. And I actually think some of these would be really interesting to explore in each and of themselves, right?
Yes.
As it relates to what we're after here.
Yes.
We have 2 circumstances, and I can't imagine we're the only ones in the industry that have this. We have plenty of technology and plenty of data that is generated out of the technology. What's interesting is, and I'm seeing that is the lowest rated of all of these. I think that the thing that sort of stands out to me is that how should I say this? The data and the information gap, the gap between those 2 concepts, right, very rarely falls down at the level of the technology. It almost always falls down at the level of some of the other things that we're saying and seeing here, which is the collaboration across business units. What is information? It's an understanding between various different perspectives to lead to something that's actionable, right? And
absolutely.
So I just find that kind of interesting, and I think that might be a very good thing to explore as a group, because like I said, I can't believe we're the only organization that has that circumstance.
Well, I think I I think we're of the same experience at Toho. I think somebody phrased it in a paper some time ago that, and it may sound really overly simplistic, but technology has gotten kind of easy, you know.
Absolutely.
And now, now it's like, okay, and very feature full.
Yeah,
So
what I often say to that is, you know, once it hits the technology, we got it. We
Yeah.
can do it, right? The issue is the problem definition. It's the outcome. It's the goal. It's the standards. It's the integrations.
Yeah.
Right. It's the, and you can accommodate, you can deal with some of that by selecting the right technology, but it has to go through a business process to where you can make that actual investment that is correct. And
Any other comments from Scott's comment?
I just want to mention there was a AWWA survey on asset management that include, you know, a lot that's very broad, and so most of those people have a CMMS system, you know, Maximo or whatever else, but I think it was 11% that had a well-defined asset registry. So it almost seems like we have like a bunch of, you know, we have a group of cooks that discuss what kind of knives to use, but they don't really talk about what are you going to do with the knife, you know? So
Cello, I'm sorry to,
yes.
you might imagine, or I'm probably exposing my bias and but one of the reasons for that is because there's a whole industry set up around asset management telling us what you should do. Every consulting firm, no offense to any consultants on the call, I used to be one, so I feel like I have some purview in saying this. They can all come in and say, well, what is your gap assessment? And what is your, hey, here are the 39 practices that are in the IAM manual, and here's where you rate against them, and let's do the target diagram, and blah, 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 right? All of that's fantastic. That's theoretically very, very logistically important, right? The element where the rubber meets the road, though, is in the 5 questions. And the first question of the 5 question is, what is the state of your assets and what's the inventory, right? And you're speaking directly to that point. Only 11% really even know. And if you only know, you know, you can only build tools and make decisions on what you know. And very, very rarely is that really undertaken, because quite frankly, a lot of consultants that do this work don't make any money in that. And organizations don't have the capacity to really go through and develop that inventory such as it is. So it drives me nuts. We focused a lot on question 1 since I've been here, because I tried to do it the other way and we failed miserably. In another organization, you know, I tried to do what I was supposed to do and we only got so far. So just, I'm sorry for the
No, it's excellent.
That's important.
No, it's really excellent.
I would like to add to that comment, because I think there's also an element of, to the analogy of the knives, of wanting the sharpest, best Japanese knife, when maybe you have a knife that does the job. So you maybe have data that isn't perfect, but you can still make action on it. So there's that element of, to what you're saying, Scott, exactly, of, well, you know, our asset registry isn't built out to 100%. We have different sizing and so we have to clean that up before we can make a decision, without really getting the bigger picture that maybe 95% of the data is accurate and you can still make operational decisions based on the data that you have. And that's not about the technology system or the integrations. It's all about that decision-making framework and what are you trying to achieve, and defining
and the most important step in that, Jenny, is that last thing you said. What are you trying to achieve?
Exactly.
Because then you can contextualize the quality of the data. Before that, you can't do that. It's an open guess. And so, anyway,
yeah.
Amen.
And yeah, absolutely. Brian put something in the chat that is an important reminder. It's all about data quality. We can't forget that. And we get into the big data realm. You know, bad data is like a virus in a sense. We could be steer us in the wrong direction. And just, that was a good reminder, Brian. Appreciate that.
Yeah, to give a specific example of Jenny's point, a large water district that I'm somewhat familiar with has I think about 70% of the instrumentation supports HART protocol, and they're using 0 of that.
Oh,
It's not used ever.
that's expensive.
You know, so you go like, okay, you know, why do I have this, you know, super sharp knife? You know, it looks
Yeah.
good on the shelf. So
I'm thinking if we come up with a coat of arms for this team, it will include knives.
yeah, give me just a second. Let me. And the last question. This is just like comments, you know, the important outcomes that you would like to see from our effort this year. And you can just type in whatever it is, and it'll be useful for us to see sort of what people would like to focus on, because it's all about what the project can do for you, not what you can do for the project. It's all should be very real and tangible.
Paraphrasing John F. Kennedy's inaugural address.
Yes, yeah. So I don't have that charisma or accent or good looks, and so I mangled the phrase a little bit to
fit the need.
to fit the need. Yeah. Yeah, it's excellent. So just type in whatever comes to mind. I think it'll be helpful, and then we'll go back to the leads. So Mike, you can drive it from here and let me know how long you want to wait.
This is such an important crescendo type question, so let's give it another minute maybe. I'm watching the clock too.
Okay, yeah, I'll just wait for your cue. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's very good. Yeah. These are wonderful things. Then you think about reality, go, oh my God, I can't do that. Excellent. Yeah. Let me know, Mike, whenever. Yeah.
Is anybody still typing? I want to be courteous here.
This is a good one. This is a really good one.
Yeah.
This is excellent.
Mike, there were 7 people who responded and 7 responded to the other 2 questions as well.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead, Cello.
I'm gonna just switch the screens. Give me just a second.
Okay.
Where is my PowerPoint? And so this the action items for the next 2 weeks.
Right. And we kind of touched on it a little bit, but this is more specific. We have some work to do, and we look forward to running it past you and adjusting as needed. Your input is a high value, and we want to make sure we're on the right track and fitting your needs and And we hope to see some more folks on the call next time too. And a lot of people expressed interest in this particular track, and we know we're busy people, and we know it's Friday too. We're maybe thinking about possible change, but don't panic yet. We haven't discussed it, but we want to make it fit as best we can with our schedules, because these 1 hour encounters are pretty important part of the project. So that's the next 2 weeks. I think there's one more slide I think it needs to be covered. It's WEFTEC. This is back to that shameless plug.
I see Scott has his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Scott.
Well, I was just going to mention, Mike, you talked earlier about the basic participation, every other week calls, and people are entitled to just join the meetings, be there for the ride. And then there's another level of involvement and engagement, which is a higher level where you actually pick a work process to work on or to apply, this methodology and tools too. So I think one of the things for the next meeting that would be very useful would be to find out, are there specific work processes that you would like to tackle in your own utility? Might be appropriate for everybody, but that you would like to go develop in a pilot and case study way within your own utility or not. And getting that kind of definition, I think might be a good goal for the next meeting that we have.
I think so.
Yeah. That from doing the CIP stuff last year, that was incredibly useful for us. Because we could sort of take what we talked about and bring it to, real world fruition. So I would agree.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yvonne.
I was just going to say, just from the quick scan of those 7 comments, it looked like there was interest in people learning from one another. So I don't know how to kind of fit that in, but I think if we can, that might be good. So maybe if the core team could talk a little bit about how to maybe pull that off, in addition to, of course, kind of the plan itself.
Absolutely. Yes.
And part of the plan is going to include me. You don't have to hear me every other week. You're going to hear from Yvonne. You're going to hear from Ting. I have a disc that is real high D. That's the need for dominance, and it expresses itself in different ways. Meaning that I hate silence. I tend to fill a void and don't know how to shut up. But Yvonne and Ting are very capable leaders unto themselves within their utilities, and they're going to be very much a part of it. It's not just about me. So I just want to mention that.
That's thank you for that. I get pushed around by a 6-pound toy poodle, so I'm in a whole different category, a whole different spectrum. So I appreciate everybody. I take Mike and Ting and Yvonne taking the lead. Whoever, this is like an open thing. You core teams is not like a double secret kind of team that nobody can get into. All you have to do is raise your hand and give us a shout, and we'll be delighted to